and Merry Christmas. It's holiday season. Hope you guys are doing great. Today's video might be a little bit all over the place. Just like I've got chunks of rock all over this table. I spent the last couple of days down in some fluorite mines, and I've collected some pretty incredible pieces that I'm cleaning up and stuff. I've got a lot of footage from some of my various adventures. That's what I like to do in my free time. Sometimes is like, you know, go exploring and stuff. So I've got a lot of footage that I've taken from the bottoms of some of these mines and stuff that I'm trying to find a way to use it for the channel because, you know, it's cool stuff. I want to share it with you guys. But anyways, it's not what today's video is about. Today's video is kind of a first impressions of this knife right here. But before we talk about this knife, I want to take a quick trip down memory lane. And I want to talk about my exposure to crossbar locks. So when I first got into the hobby, I was, I've always been into knives. But when I first got into kind of this side of the knife world, you know, real knives, for lack of a better term, I was a freshman in college. I was 18. And I remember watching all kinds of knife YouTube and stuff and kind of starting to dip my toes into what it means for a knife to be good, right? And during this whole process, obviously I came across Spyderco, or Benchmade, my bad. I came across Spyderco too, but Benchmade is what we're talking about in this story. And I was immediately impressed by the axis lock because it was unlike anything I'd ever seen up to that point. You know, I knew about liner locks and frame locks and back locks. These are the locks that the knives I carried as a teenager had on them. But the axis lock, that was something new and different, and I heard nothing but good things about Benchmade. And so I decided that my collection would not be complete until I had an axis lock. And so I went and purchased this secondhand Benchmade bug out, which you guys still see in pretty much every review I do. This is one of my size comparison knives. I carried this knife a lot. And this was actually not my first high-end, well, it was. I bought a Spyderco PM2, but that was a clone, and I felt bad about that one. But yeah, I was really impressed with this knife. I still do like the bug out. I think it's a really great design. But they're just way too expensive nowadays, right? And so then, around this same time, the patent on the axis lock expired, and every company started using crossbar locks. And so I got a couple, and I started carrying them and using them and enjoying them and just kind of, you know, figuring out what I thought of axis locks, crossbar lock style things. So I got this Hog Deca, which I prefer over the bug out, and I love this knife. Hog's Able lock is awesome, and I don't show this knife on the channel as much as I should. I don't carry this knife as much as I should because I really do love this knife. But pretty shortly after buying this one and carrying it, for a while there I was carrying this knife every day. I just kind of got burned out on crossbar locks, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think one of the things. I remember the reason I stopped carrying this knife was because I got this in like the summer. I carried it a lot, and then winter came around, and I found that I did not like manipulating the crossbar lock using gloves. I was, you know, back on the ranch visiting my parents and stuff. I was using my knife out there feeding cows and stuff, and I realized that I just didn't like using the axis lock or the Able lock in this case with gloves. It was just a little bit awkward. And so I stopped carrying it, and then I think that kind of sort of killed my enthusiasm for crossbar locks in general. I think something else that contributed to that was that I handled a couple that just did not have the action I was looking for. And even with this bug out, it took forever to break in. This knife was a pain to break in. And it's nice and broken in now, but it took years, right? And so that was one that I wasn't a huge fan of. And so even, gosh, up till just recently, I haven't really been that enthusiastic about crossbar locks. And I think I kind of shot myself in the foot. You know, the Kaiser Drop Bear came out this year, right? Or last year? I can't remember when it was. But they had the Drop Bear, the Escort, and everyone was ranting and raving about the clutch lock, this adjustable crossbar lock. And I was kind of like, you know, whatever. I'm not really a crossbar lock guy, so I didn't really care about it. But recently, I've had a couple of knives that have maybe started to change my mind a little bit. And they're all $5 knives from Ozar Trail. So Ozar Trail had a crossbar lock knife they released last year, the shaft lock. I know, laugh it up. And that little green knife was okay. You could definitely tell it was a $5 knife. Well, this year, Ozar Trail released a lot of crossbar lock knives, and I gotta say, they're pretty good. So this one, I did a review of in Cheap Knife Week Volume 4. Definitely check that out if you haven't yet. And if you want to watch all seasons of Cheap Knife Week, I have a playlist with all 24 episodes in my playlist section, so look that up. But very, very cool. This crossbar lock feels very strong. You got good little detent. I was just really, really impressed. I was even more impressed when I saw that Ozar Trail had a flipper crossbar lock deploying knife. That's something that's a little bit difficult to pull off. And they did it. And then this knife came along, and holy cow, this is a really, really good knife. And I gotta say, if Ozar Trail ever decides to make a knife with real materials, like if they want to release this with, I don't know, even an AUS 8 blade or D2 or something and sell this for 25 bucks, I think they'd be making bank, because this, holy cow, this is one of the snappiest crossbar lock deployments I've ever felt. And this thing is just ridiculously smooth. Very, very cool. I like this knife so much. I unboxed it a while ago, but I've been carrying it at work, using it around work, because why the heck not, right? Now, are these three knives going to be the most durable? Are their Omega springs going to hold up or whatever, you know, through long-term use? I don't know. Maybe not. But then again, they're $5 knives, right? So, can you really blame them? But I'm really, really impressed that Ozar Trail was able to do the crossbar lock so well at this price point. And it got me thinking, you know, maybe I should give Axis locks another try. Maybe I need to give the crossbar lock genre another try. Well, thankfully, I had this guy. So the story on this knife's a little bit funny. I've actually had this one for a while. This is the Besttech Slasher 2 or Slasher XL. I can't remember what it's called. This is the Besttech Slasher. And when the original Slasher was released, the smaller version, I was very interested in it. I wanted to get my hands on it, but I just never got around to it. Bestech is actually one of my favorite brands, but I haven't reviewed a whole lot of them recently. And there's a couple of issues with the small one that I knew I wouldn't like, to have a reversible clip, this, that, and the other. So then they released the bigger one, and I was really happy. It's my size, they have the reversible clip, it's a good looking knife in my opinion, and so I decided I wanted to get one. So I ordered this one, and it got lost in the mail. And I was pretty upset, but I got really busy with just life, and it arrived right when I was going into my finals week. I was working on some projects, work was kind of picking up a little bit, and so I did not do an unboxing first impressions video. And so that's what this is now. This is gonna be our first impressions, and it's not even really first impressions. I've been using the heck out of this thing. I was talking about, you know, going down all these different mines, looking for fluorite. This knife has been in my pocket for a lot of those little adventures. And yeah, let's just give a first little overview of this knife. I love the shape. I think this is a good looking knife. This sheep's foot blade is a really, really nice EDC blade shape, and a nice blade shape for kind of tougher use, outdoor use, job site use type of things. I think this is a very, very nice blade. Of course, we got that crossbar lock. We have a deep carry wire clip that is reversible, and it works great. I really love this clip. The ergonomics on this thing are fantastic. I wish the jimping came out a little bit further, but I always say that. Great ergos. This is a knife that I can really, really bear down on. So I really, really like that. Great sharpening choil, or sharpening choil punch grind. Really, really excellent. And the action is very, very good. So I'm impressed with this knife. It is D2. I kind of wish it was 14C28 in, but it's D2. Still, it's been holding up just fine. So not a huge issue. And I don't hate D2. I think it's a completely fine steel. So now that I've been carrying this one for a while, I've been messing around with those little Ozar Trail knives. I've started to kind of rethink crossbar locks. And I've started to consider maybe there's room in my life for crossbar locks again, right? Am I ready to open myself up to crossbar locks? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. I think I'm definitely going to try to review more crossbar locking knives going into 2024. I'll be honest with you, I want to review some more Benchmades. I have never reviewed a Benchmade knife on this channel. I own two Benchmades. I have this bug out, and I have a 940. But it is in a box at my parents' place, I believe. I really do want to review some more Benchmades, USA made brand. I want to support them and stuff, but they're just way too expensive. They are way out of my price range, but maybe one day, right? I really like the looks of their Adamas folders. Those are really, really cool. Hog, more affordable. They've got some knives that I really, really like. I actually not recently, gosh, this was more than a year ago. I was at a gun show in Las Cruces, and I met this Hog dealer and had a talk with him, and really, really cool guy. He gave me a little pamphlet and everything, and I still got his contact information and stuff, and maybe I'll go and buy a Hog from him, because there are a lot of Hog knives that I'm really, really interested in that I want to review on the channel, and I do think that their Able Lock might be the best rendition of the crossbar lock. A lot of people say that. I agree. So I love Hog. I really love Hog, another USA made brand. You can see here, this is one of the original Decas with all of the screws and the 20 CV blade. I want to get one of the Magna Cut ones, but at the same time, it's like, for me, if I'm going to buy a Hog, I want it to be a model I haven't had already so I can review it and stuff, So even if I were to sell this one, I'd want to buy a different model so I can make a video for the channel. If that makes sense. This is how YouTubers think. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to try out Kaiser's clutch lock too, because I think it's probably something I would be interested in, the adjustable crossbar lock. So there we go. I like crossbar locks again, and it is honestly because of these three $5 knives here, which is really, really cool. And honestly, that's one of the best things about cheap knives is they get me excited about the knife community, right? I see these small, inexpensive knives. I buy them, and it's like, oh yeah, this $5 crossbar lock is really, really cool. I bet I'd enjoy a $65 crossbar lock. So pick it up, it's like, yep, there we go, I'm into it. I gotta say though, the action on this knife is not as crisp as this knife, which I find to be pretty hilarious. I mean, look at this. Gosh, that rockets out of there. A little softer, but still really, really cool. And yeah, I'm all for crossbar locks now. I wasn't a fan of them for a while, but I'm back on board. I am back on board. So there we go, just a quick little video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Merry Christmas.